Welcome everyone to Have History Will Travel. I am your host, the Wilder Historian, and I wanted to add another episode of the hardest men to kill in history. This video came about when I came across an account of a member of the 2nd Wisconsin. His name was John Donovan, and he took part in the First Battle of Bull Run, and his account is absolutely extraordinary. He was wounded 6 times in the first major battle of the Civil War. The following account is his. Went into an engagement at Bull Run Sunday, July 21st, 1861, at 10 o'clock a.m. or thereabouts. Marched up the hill after getting over a fence, and on reaching nearly to the brow, I was struck by a rifle ball in the calf of my right leg, outside, passing through the skin on the other side. In the cars on the way to Richmond the next evening, a young man looking among the wounded prisoners wanted me to let him take it out and keep the ball, to which I consented, and he cut it out. After being hit as above, I stepped back to the fence, sat down, and bound up my leg to keep it from bleeding. I then got up and loaded and fired from where I stood. After firing 3 times, another ball hit me in the left heel, glancing up along near my ankle joint. The ball remained in about 8 weeks, when my leg being badly festered, the prison hospital surgeon lanced it one evening, and in the night the ball worked out, so I got it out the next morning. After being hit the 2nd time, I still kept loading and firing as fast as I could. In about 10 minutes, as near as I can judge, a 3rd ball struck me in the right side, which still remains somewhere within me. This disabled me somewhat for a short time, but I again loaded and fired 2 or 3 times as well as I could when I was struck in the right arm. While in the act of firing, about midway between my elbow and shoulder joints, the ball running up towards my neck. The ball was taken out about 9 weeks afterwards by the hospital surgeon at Richmond, about halfway from my shoulder joint to my neck bone. I fired my musket, but once after this, as the recoil of it hurt my shoulder so I was unable to bear it. I then left the fence to get behind a tree, standing some 250 yards off, and picked up a revolver which lay on the ground, at which time a bullet struck on my right wrist, glancing off from the bone. I went a little further towards the tree, when some 12 or 15 Confederate soldiers came out of the woods directly towards me. I fired the revolver at them 3 times, and just as I fired the 3rd barrel, a bullet fired by one of this company struck me just below my left eye, going into my head. I knew nothing more until about noon the next day, Monday. When I came to, I found myself lying right where I had fell the day before. I tried to get up but could not. After this, I made several ineffectual attempts to crawl away to the shade of a tree, the sun shining very hot. About 4 p.m., a couple of soldiers came along, picked me up, and carried me to the cars, and I was sent to Richmond, afterwards sent to Alabama, and finally released on parole. The bullet still remains in my head. The hospital surgeon says it lies somewhere near my right ear, the sense of hearing being entirely lost in that ear, the drum or tympanum having been injured by it. The slightest touch on my chin or near it causes a severe pain in my right temple and over the ear. I cannot see at all with my left eye. I cannot bear to be out in the sun. It makes me dizzy and my head pains me severely. So also does more than ordinary exercise. Ordinarily, when sitting quiet, my head only occasionally troubles me. A little dizziness and heaviness is about all, except when out in the sun or heated, as before stated, and also when I attempt to lift anything. It puts me in severe pain in my head, and my eyes pain me exceedingly, as well then as when heated or out in the sun. I am obliged to keep out of the sun as much as possible on account of this excruciating pain in my head and eyes, and when I read, my eyes fill with water, and I have to rest. I cannot write a letter of ordinary length. I have to stop several times for this and from dizziness. There is occasionally a dimness comes over my right eye even when quiet, but not very often. The surgeon said the bone around my left temple was shattered, and that pieces thereof would work out. None has to my knowledge. The bullet which entered my right side has not yet given me any great trouble. This is an amazing account of a soldier who suffered greatly on the battlefield, but definitely earns the name of one of the hardest men to kill in history, especially after being wounded 6 times and living to tell the tale. I hope you enjoyed this short account. Please subscribe, like the video, comment below on someone that I may have missed of one of the hardest men to kill in history, and I'll see you next time.
Historian, where do you roam? Historian, far, far from home. history will travel reads the card of a man. A professor with knowledge in the heartland. To educate the world is his mission. A professor of fortune is a man called historian. Historian.